how to ensure that your closing of your real estate transaction goes smoothly.
There's certain things that we can do for people who are higher volume, that are more well established, that are more repeat with us, to try to save time and cut corners. But regardless, there's just a minimum number of documents and minimum amount of information we always need on every deal. It doesn't matter that it's your 100th deal with us, because it's a new deal.
What's going on YouTube? It's Lynn Matheson, aka the Canadian Cottage Girl, and today I'm joined by Ryan Carson from Carson Law. Welcome to the channel, Ryan.
Hey, thanks, Rebecca. Great to be here.
Absolutely. Well, Ryan has done a ton of content on real estate investing and how to really work well with your real estate lawyer. So make sure you tune into some of the previous content that Ryan's filmed on the channel. And if you want more great content like this and you're not already, make sure you're subscribed to the Canadian Real Estate channel just down below. Turn on the notification bell in order to make sure that you get notified whenever we release a video on the channel, and smash that like button if you like today's video. So today we're going to be actually diving into how to ensure that your closing of your real estate transaction goes smoothly. And we've got Ryan here to give us tips from a real estate investor lawyer, and he's going to be breaking down what you need to know to make sure that your closing goes smoothly. So Ryan, thanks for being here, and let's jump right into these tips and tricks.
Yeah, thanks so much, Rebecca. I might start off by just saying, what is a real estate investor lawyer? So we like to call ourselves at Carson Law the real estate investor lawyers, because we are not only real estate lawyers, but investors as well. And so really working with a real estate lawyer who is familiar and actively investing is a great idea, because they can understand what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish out there as real estate investors. Whether it's, being in private lending, whether it's doing, a buy and hold, whether it's a flip, whether it's a BRRRR, whether it's assignments, anything else, right? We're going to be familiar with the, investment strategies that are out there, because we're actively, looking at those investment strategies ourselves, not just as lawyers, but as investors, right? So I think that's tip number one. Work with a real estate lawyer who is involved in investing and or is doing it themselves, right? So that would be tip number one. I would say tip number two is make sure you're dealing with realistic timelines, and to answer that question of like what's realistic, you probably need to talk to your whole power team. And your power team is going to be your lawyer, your mortgage broker, your real estate insurance, representative, probably like maybe a real estate mentor or coach. These are the people that are going to round out your power team. You might even have a accountant in there, possibly, depending on, whether you've got complex like structuring going on with the deal. But you really need to like have a good understanding of like, how much time do I need to get these deals done based on each type of deal. So whether it's a BRRRR, a hold, a flip, an assignment, like whatever the case is, it's probably very plausible to kind of benchmark a range of time. The number one thing is like, just be realistic with that timeline, right? Too many times we see people like send us deals and it's like 2 weeks, and it's like, well, yeah, we can try to do it. Like, I'm not gonna tell you we won't be able to do it. But I'm not, as the lawyer, doing all of the aspects of the deal. Like, yeah, I'm there at the end to try to make things happen and to close it. But like, I'm not arranging your mortgage, so I don't know if 2 weeks is enough time for that. I'm not putting together your home insurance to cover the building and to satisfy the requirements of your mortgage lender. I don't know if it's better for you to incorporate this or take it in your personal capacity. that's going to be your tax accountant and or potentially like a real estate investor coach. So being realistic, with the time needed to close a deal, I think is important too. I know that's very difficult out there in the world right now because, supply and demand, it's a seller's market, right? So if they ask for a fast closing, I mean, you might lose the deal if you can't, adhere to it. But maybe that means it wasn't a good deal for you, right? I mean, because here's the thing, if you sign yourself up to a deal with a timeline that you just can't hit, or it's very unrealistic that you're going to hit it, well, now you've got a problem because you could get sued, for a breach of contract. And or, if it's one of your first deals, you might get frustrated and say, well, oh, this was terrible. I don't want to do this experience, right? So having very realistic timelines will, I think, protect you from possibly getting sued or having deals need extensions, which would be at a cost or whatever. But also it'll probably increase the likelihood that you enjoy the process and you want to repeat and do more, right? So having realistic timelines, I think, is tip number 2. And then tip number 3, which I kind of probably could have alluded to maybe ahead of tip number 2, but make sure you have a really good power team in place. Make sure you have a good lawyer with the other members of the team as well, like a really good mortgage broker who understands real estate investing, all the platforms, has a good background and understanding into like your financial situation, because that will greatly assist them in figuring out, can we get bank lending here? Do we need B lending? Do we need private lending? What do we need here, right? So that's kind of tip number 3, is have a really good power team. Included in that power team is going to be having an accountant to make sure you're getting the right tax advice right away early in the process, so that you're corporately structured or personally structured the right way to be efficient from a tax standpoint. And you want to make sure you've got a good insurance rep on your team, so if push comes to shove, you've got somebody who can fast track and accelerate insurance coverages, so it doesn't hold up the lawyer trying to close the deal, or it doesn't hold up your funding with banks and that kind of thing, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I'd say making sure you have a great power team would be tip number 3. I think also with these deals, some people treat them kind of a little bit differently than their personal deal. I think if it's like you buying and selling your personal residence, people automatically seem a little bit more like in tuned and like worried about it, because it could mean like they're homeless or not, right? Like they need to make sure when they sell their house that they've got a place to move into, because they need to live somewhere, right? And so people seem to take a lot of care and involvement and attention to detail on their personal deals. One thing I find happens with real estate investors, and I don't think investors mean to do this, but they could be doing the investment portion as like a second job. It might not be their sole career at the moment, right? And then what happens is they don't have enough time to balance between their actual career job and their real estate investor job. And then what ends up happening is they don't put enough time and care into moving things along as early as they can in the process of that investment transaction. And so what ends up happening is it's a procrastination, and everything gets compounded down the line to the real estate lawyer, who's like, okay, like we don't have anything here. And then everybody's scrambling to try to solve something that really needs weeks of prep and processing into like 1 week or less.
Right.
So I guess tip 4 is, be willing to balance the time and attention necessary to the real estate investment project. Like make sure that you can put forth the effort and the attention that's necessary, that's being requested of your power team for like real estate documents with the agent, mortgage documents with the broker, insurance documents with the rep at the insurance company, and then the lawyer with all the closing documents, right? So really being able to devote a certain amount of appropriate attention to detail is really crucial, so stuff isn't left to the last minute. And then I would say along the same lines, depending on what real estate lawyer you work with, but one of the things we do with all of our files when they get opened, and we try to make sure we open files with a 30-day buffer. So for example, if Rebecca is our client and she sends us a deal, and let's say the closing isn't for 2 months, well, if we can, we'll open it right away. Dollars to donuts, we won't be sitting around doing nothing, so we probably have to put it in queue with other files that have earlier closing dates. But basically we'll open that file, so there's a 4-week buffer, so we get plenty of time to send Rebecca our file opening email, which gives her a full checklist of, I need all these forms returned to me, and here's the checklist of everything I need you to do for us to process your file. And so that's crucial to get on that right away. And if you're not sure about anything, again, speak to the lawyer about it. Like, let's really map out what questions you have and make sure you understand what you need to do so that we can do our job for you. Because if we get all your information back late or incomplete, or everything's left to the last minute, it makes it really difficult and stressful. Like, we get stressed out because we want to do a good job for you and we want to see you succeed as real estate investors. But ultimately we need you to help us help you. And, I guess that's a Jerry Maguire, help me help you quote, right? So great movie, but very fitting, help us help you. And that's just all about having great communication with your power team and your power team members, and being able to apply the appropriate amount of time and effort into being careful on what you're sending to us, right? Delivering what we've requested from you. I know everybody's super busy, and that is a common thing that we hear from investors, especially ones that are much more established, maybe ones that have left the grind of everyday life and their job is a real estate investor. I totally get everybody's super busy. I mean, I would probably be guilty of saying the same thing. I'm too busy. But the key thing is you've got to make some time to get your power team what they need so that they can do the work for you. There's certain things that we can do for people who are higher volume, that are more well established, that are more repeat with us, to try to save time and cut corners. But regardless, there's just a minimum number of documents and minimum amount of information we always need on every deal. It doesn't matter that it's your 100th deal with us, because it's a new deal, right? There's new parties, it's a new property, there's a new mortgage, there's new insurance, like all that stuff has to just keep happening every single deal. Certain things we can make shortcuts on to help save time in the processing, but it takes work, right? It takes work and time and effort. And if you're willing to put that work in and effort in, then we are more than happy to work with you and assist you and help you guys grow as real estate investors.
Absolutely. Definitely appreciate all of those tips and tricks here. So I'm just going to go over them. So we had 5 really key tips and tricks here. And I think it's good to highlight, whether or not it's your first deal or your 100th deal, that you still pay attention and care to all of these elements, because it's so easy to miss an email and then suddenly everyone's backed up in the timeline. So number one tip that you had said there is work with a real estate lawyer that also invests and understands what you're trying to accomplish. That is so important for the process to go smoothly. Number two is work with realistic timelines. So if you have a short turnaround time on a deal, call your power team and actually understand if it's possible before moving forward. Number three is have a really good power team in place. So make sure that you have a mortgage broker who is investor focused and also owns properties. Make sure you have an accountant who also owns properties and invests and understands what you're trying to do, and an insurance rep who you can call up and get a property insured in a short turnaround time if that's what you need. Number four was be early with all documents and pay attention to detail. Everyone has the same 24 hours in a day, so be the person that actually pays attention to detail and gets the transactions done well. And number five was email your lawyer right away when you have an accepted contract. So that's definitely important to make sure that everything falls into place and that they're able to communicate exactly what they need from you, and make sure that you are on track to close the deal. Because at the end of the day, your lawyer is there to support you through the entire process and make sure that you're protected and all of your interests are protected. So they just have your interest at heart. So just make sure that they're looped in here and that we're communicating and working together as a team to get through to the finish line. So Ryan, anything else you want to add there? I think that those are 5 really juicy tips and tricks for everyone listening in here on the Canadian Real Estate Channel. So any other thoughts or any final additions that you'd like to add in there?
No, I mean, I would just say, just don't ever be afraid to communicate right away if you think there's a concern or a question or a problem. The only thing we can never get back is time, right? Like you said, I love that you said we're all dealing with the same 24 hours. That's the only thing, rich or poor, nobody can buy that, right? You can never get your time back. To be honest with you, if I could buy anything in the world, it would be extra time, right? But you just, you can't. So communicating as early as possible with, whether it's any of these 5 points, questions, concerns, so forth, whether it's with me, the real estate lawyer for you, or your other power team members, I think that early and often communication, will save a lot of hassle and stress, hopefully, throughout the process.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thanks for tuning into the Canadian Real Estate Channel today. And Ryan, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find us at carsonlaw.ca, and you can email me at ryan@carsonlaw.ca anytime.
Awesome. Well, guys, make sure that if you liked today's video, or if you have some additional tips and tricks that you think should have been included, make sure you put them in the comment section below. And if you liked the video, smash that like button and subscribe down below. We'll make sure to link Carson Law's website just in the video description for all of you to find them. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Ryan, thanks again for tuning in today.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. Enjoy.
Awesome. See you guys. Peace.